All right, welcome to The Explainer. Today we're diving into the story of an artist who decided to illustrate one of the most famous books in history. But, this isn't just about art and faith. It's really about a wild question. Could a comic book artist with just his drawings actually reach 1 billion people? So this question right here, it comes from a poem about the artist Sergio Cariello. And this is where our whole story kicks off. I mean, just think about that number for a second. 1 billion people. Well, it's not just ambitious, right? It sounds pretty much impossible. So how could one person's art even begin to get that kind of reach? The answer? Well, it's not what you'd think. See, to even get close to understanding that billion-person question, you can't just look at the finished book. Nope. You have to look at the artist himself. This is the story of Sergio Cariello and his personal journey. That's the key to the whole thing. So it all begins with the artist's calling. This is the origin story of what turned into a pretty sacred mission. And it starts out simply enough. He was just a kid who absolutely loved comic books. But for Cariello, that passion ended up colliding with this huge spiritual awakening. And that just reframed everything. His talent wasn't a hobby anymore. It was a divine gift. So he spent years and years honing that gift, and eventually it all came together into this really powerful sense of purpose. He was being called to serve through his art. Okay, but a calling to do what exactly? Well, that brings us to the real heart of it, the core inspiration, this single idea that would pretty much define his entire artistic mission. It started with a cross. And this phrase, it's everything. It's the title of Cariello's own personal testimony, sure, but it's way more than that. It became the bedrock of his whole mission, to tell the story of Jesus. But here's the twist, not starting from the beginning. No, he starts with that one pivotal moment, the cross. And this quote from the poem, man, it just gets right to the heart of it all. The Savior walked to Calvary, where Christ died for me, upon that cross. See, for Cariello, this wasn't just some story from ancient history. It was intensely personal. His goal was never just to draw events on a page, but to capture the feeling, the spiritual truth behind it all. Okay, so let's recap. You've got the calling, right? You've got the deep personal inspiration. You've got the testimony. And all of it, every single piece, led to this, the Action Bible, his masterpiece, dedicated to translating this timeless story into pictures that are just powerful and full of life. So the final work became the Action Bible, and also its New Testament volume. And it is all Cariello's art, from cover to cover. It's all driven by that it started with a cross testimony we talked about. The entire project really hangs on this one powerful idea that a single dynamic picture can say so much more than a whole page of text ever could. And this is where you really see the power of his approach. I mean, we've all been there, right? You're trying to read some dense, ancient text, and it can be confusing. You just get lost. The poem even calls it perplexing. Well, Cariello's art just slices right through all of that. It totally shifts the experience from this academic thing you study to something you can actually see and feel. It makes the message of the story hit you right away. And this brings us right back to where we started. Full circle, back to that massive, almost unbelievable number. Now that we followed the artist's journey, we can really appreciate the incredible potential of his vision. A gospel told completely in pictures. 1 billion. Just seeing the number laid out like that, it's honestly staggering. But now, after following Cariello's journey, from a boy who loved comic books to an artist with a divine mission, that number starts to feel different. It shifts from being some impossible fantasy to being the potential result of a life totally devoted to one single purpose. So in the end, the poem gives us this really powerful conclusion, perhaps 1 billion souls to tell the reasons Jesus came. See, it's not a prediction. It's more of a profound statement, really, about the immense, world-changing potential that can be hiding inside one person's focused talent and just unwavering dedication. And it ultimately leaves us with a much bigger question, one that goes way beyond any single book or any single artist. How does a timeless story actually stay alive? Well, maybe it's through a singular vision like this one, a vision that dares to completely transform it, making it vibrant and alive and totally vital for a whole new generation.